everybody, and thank you so much for coming to the meeting. As some of you know, my name is Luisa. I'm the head boss of the company, and you might be wondering why I gather you here today on such a beautiful day. But with the holidays coming up and events coming up, whether it's outside of work or at work, there's something I want to talk to you guys about and maybe get you guys to use this method if you don't already use it. So with that being said, I want to talk about having a designated driver. A designated driver is someone who takes charge and is responsible for that group of people that night and making sure that they get home okay and safely through their loved ones, whether it's their family, friends, or pets. Being a designated driver is a responsibility that most of you guys might think, well, that's just babysitting, that takes out the fun because you have to stay sober. But to me, that is such an amazing feeling, knowing that I kept my friend out of trouble. I'm preventing my friend from getting a DUI. I'm preventing my friend from getting in a crash and maybe killing themselves or killing someone else. And I'm preventing my friend from making a bad decision of drinking and driving. Because according to the Motor Vehicle Safety, 29 people in the United States die every day in a motor vehicle crash that involves an alcohol-impaired driver. 29 people die every day because they made the choice to drink and drive, or because someone else made that choice and ended up in fatality. So with that being said, having a designated driver is super important, and I know you might think it's silly, and you might think, well, we all know about this, we all know not to drink and drive, because it gets advertised every day on the daily life, whether it's on TV, social media, radio, or newspaper. But I feel like we fail to realize that it is important and how important it really is. Because last year, I had this mentality where I was like, I knew what a designated driver was, and I knew what an Uber was, and I knew what a taxi was, but yet I was in that mentality like 2 drinks, 4 drinks is not going to do anything, I'm going to be okay, I'll be fine. So like I was saying, last year I went out with my friends to have a friends night out. We all went out to a bar. We had 3 to 4 drinks. By all means, we were not drunk. I mean, we didn't think we were drunk. We were walking, talking fine. We were all fine. We thought we were fine. The driver seemed okay, and we were like, hey, our house is just 8 minutes down the road. We will be okay. We get in the car with the driver, who we thought was fine because he seemed fine. He was walking fine, talking fine, and he didn't look like one of those movies where they're all wasted and can't even stand up. No, he was acting fine. He was acting normal. Next thing I know, I'm waking up with a deploy airbag in my face. My friends are screaming. We're stuck in the car because our seatbelts were just stuck, and we learned that we had crashed. After we get out of the car, the cop explains to us that the driver was actually over the limit on his alcohol. We were all shocked and scared because we did not think he was that drunk. We did not think he was even drunk at all. And the cop told us, somebody does not have to look drunk to be drunk. And that really stuck to me, because alcohol does not only impair the way you think or the way you talk or the way you walk, but it also impairs your vision. So that driver that night thought that instead of the road going straight, it curved, and that's where we ended up hitting that light pole. And we were extremely lucky that there wasn't anybody on the sidewalk, or that there wasn't any other car involved, or that nobody got hurt besides a couple of bruises and cuts. We were extremely lucky of that. But I also learned through that having a designated driver is important too, because you don't want to have a DUI. So seeing my friend go through that, not only did he total his car, he had to pay to get it out of the place where they took it. We had to pay a junkyard to take his car. They didn't pay us. We had to pay them to take it because it was that bad and that ruined. We had to go to court. Bail money was expensive. Court fees, we had to get a lawyer because he was going to go to jail with a felony, but thank God he didn't. But a lawyer, now he's on probation, so he's got to pay for that every week. He has to take a breathalyzer 3 times a day, and if he was to miss one of those, he would get charged and he could go to jail for missing one of those. He cannot go out of state. There's a lot of things he's not allowed to do. And even though he's not charged with a felony, he's not allowed to have a gun or go out of state, like I said, anything like that. He also lost his license for 2 years. So not only do you get all this money and you lose all this money when you get a DUI, but you lose a lot of your things, because if he didn't have me, he wouldn't have a job, because he wouldn't have a transportation to his work. And court and probation, they don't care if you work. That when they give you a date for an appointment, you have to show up, because if you don't, guess what? You're going to jail. So not only does it mess with your social life, it messes with your work and your personal life and everything else that you can imagine. So due to that, I am really for having a designated driver, because that day we made that silly mistake, think, hey, we're okay, we're fine, we know our limit, we know our friend, we'll be okay, it's just 8 minutes down the road. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth getting in trouble. It's not worth having on your record. If you can prevent it, why not prevent it? Also, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety, more than 10,000 people die every year in a drunk driving crash. So, with that being said, you don't want to be another number. You want to make sure that you have a plan before you even go out with your friends. You want to make sure that you guys have this planned out and you have it all figured out before you go out, because you don't want to see somebody get in trouble, or you being that person that decides to drink and drive because you didn't have a designated driver, or because you didn't want to leave your car somewhere random, which by all means I can understand that, but don't ever make that decision to drink and drive. I think that we should implement a designated driver all the time, and not only is it benefiting us because it's not, I mean, we're not driving. If you're like me, I don't like to drive, but we're taking turns. So one day I might be the designated driver, another day it might be my friend, and we all pitch in for gas, because that designated driver does have to drop us off at our house. So we pitch in for gas to help him out and say, hey, you know what, I am thankful for you and thankful that you're driving me home and taking me home safe. Here's some money for gas. Also, Olivia Stowler posted this article on August 12, 2016, and it says, being the designated driver means that you are preventing any of your friends from drinking and driving, and you will feel good about saving lives. And I could not agree more, because every time I'm a designated driver and I take my friends home and I see them walking through that door, I get this warm feeling inside, because I did that. Because of me, they're walking inside their house. So this is something to think about. You don't want to make a mistake, especially around the holidays, make a silly mistake and you're having fun, and make a silly mistake to drinking and driving and ruining your life or losing your life because you didn't have a plan. I mean, it's really important, and the holidays are to celebrate, not to be sad and losing somebody that you love because they didn't know what a designated driver was, or they didn't think a designated driver was a good idea, or they thought they did, but they didn't want to implement it. So I'm encouraging you guys to think about this, talk to your group, and use this, because we have a Christmas party coming up. And it would be a great idea to implement this and start this now, and you will thank me later on for this. I hope you guys have a good day, and thank you so much for listening to me.